Shalom, 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 Yasha Allah, Shabbat Shalom, Mashar Shabbat. Glad to have y'all back another Sabbath. All praise to the Father, it's your boy Shire. And I got my brother Yatsa. Hey, so we don't get it cracking. As y'all can see by the title of today's lesson, we'll be going over the medical benefits of micronutrients, vitamins and minerals, right? So first I want to give some shout outs. Shout out to Hashamai Faith Yasha Allah, Shalom Gina Barbie Jones, Shalom Shamai Faith Yasha Allah, and Shalom Sister Leah. All praise to the Most High God.
And you got the flyer?
I don't have it saved on my computer.
All right, let me pull it up.
Shalom Sister Kim, Shalom Manny, Shalom Shamar, Shalom Sister Justice, Shalom Sister Bar, Shabbat Shalom. My brother's looking up the flyer. If y'all don't know, I'm gonna enlighten you. Shalom Sister Cherish, Ashro Shabbat. We have an upcoming debate with the Genesis camp on July 11th on whether or not the weekly Sabbath is based on the moon, right? All praise to the Most High. So that'll be July 11th. Shabbat Shalom, Brother Azariah. Let me see. Let me go to Deacon's page real quick. It's like, so I think he posted on his.
You can pull up on his page.
Yeah, I'm about to put it up right now.
Yeah, I'm already live.
Here we go.
Shalom, family. Shalom. Peace and blessings. Godspeed to everybody.
I don't feel that. All right, can you share my screen? I can't blow it up no more than that. All right, Con. So you can see, family, it's the Sabbath based on the moon, off the moon. Baal versus Genesis, July 11th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is a formal debate, family. This is not rapid fire, just having a discussion. No, this will be a moderated, professional debate. July 11th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? It's going to be the beloved brother Yatazah and Ratazan, 2-on-2 versus Priest Hakat and Asad Karab. All praise to the Most High. That'll be July 11th. I'll be on the debate. I'll be reading for the brother Yatazah and Ratazan Sharyan. Strictly in a reading capacity, nothing more, nothing less. Strictly reading, right? But just so y'all know, right? July 11th. So that's approximately 2 weeks away from today. Exactly. That's 2 weeks from today exactly. So y'all mark this on your calendars, right? Take off work. Do what you need to do. Be there or be square. You know what I mean? So July 11th, professionally moderated debate by Christian Corey. Is the Sabbath based off the moon? All praises. Right? We know that there's been much chirping as of the last probably year or so, honestly, of what the Sabbath is, when it starts, what determines it. Everyone has seen, this is public information, the presentation that Deacon and Hassad did, I believe, 7 or 8 months ago, right? Basically saying that those who keep the 7-day Sabbath are idolaters. We follow the beast system. We're sinners, plainly. Um, so we're going to defend our faith, and we're going to defend the doctrine that we have received on July 11th to prove that to be false. Right? And like the brother Ratazan said, we will be multi-casting. So you won't have to pay any entrance fee. No money is involved. It will be casted directly from Believers of the Way YouTube channel. So we just ask that y'all pop out, support on July 11th. All praise to the Most High. Right? Yes, that those things have been said about those of us who recognize a 6+1 rhythm, unbroken since the wilderness Sabbath, is idolatrous. We are sinners. Not only that, we are willingly and purposely following the beast, Mystery Babylon, all of these things. Yes. So we'll be defending that on July 11th, showing that to be false, right? So all praise to the Most High. So without further ado, family, Shalom, Sister Malia, Shalom, Sister Abigail, and Shalom Ratazan. Shout out to everyone who is tapped in and commented. Shabbat Shalom. So as y'all can see, today's lesson is about the medical benefits of micronutrients, right? Health is everything. So I was prompted to finally go into this information for y'all. Y'all know I've been silent, well, not even silently, but quietly going through school and things of that nature. For holistic health, I'm a certified personal trainer, certified nutritionist through the International Sports Science Association, also a strength and conditioning coach. To those who give a crap about those nerdy things in my credentialing, right? So put something together. This was a last minute call up. I was gonna have a PowerPoint for y'all, but that was based on the time frame of me going up and teaching next week. But some things came up, and my car got pulled early, so we're gonna do what we do. So y'all, all I ask is y'all be attentive. Have your notes out. It's not going to be a super Bible lesson. It's not going to be a whole bunch of precepts at all. It's going to be more informational, more scientific, and things for you to chew on, go back and research, right? I'm not going to go real fast. I'm going to slow down so y'all can accurately take notes, right? Again, this is not going to be a whole bunch of precepts. Not necessarily going to need to have your Bible out for this lesson. Just going to hit a couple of points biblically, and then we're going to get into the information, right? So without further ado, let me share my screen real quick.
All right, I'm back.
Okay, come.
All right, it's the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 30, verse 25. A cheerful and good heart would have care of meat and diet.
Right. So someone who is cheerful and of good heart, right? A healthy person is going to have a mindfulness about what they're putting into their temple, what they're eating. Right. Someone who is in the right state of mind, someone who is healthy, someone who is happy is going to be taking care of the temple that God gave them. You understand? Right. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 6. Second Corinthians 6. Like it. Uh-oh. So like it.
You want me to just pull it in from my Bible?
Nah, I got it. I'm pretty sure. Uh,
You want to do the screen share?
yeah, just for these little Bible verses, then we won't need it anymore.
All right.
First Corinthians 6:19.
So, book of First Corinthians, chapter 6, verse 19. It says, "What? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own?"
Bingo. So read verse 20 as well. So like you.
For ye are bought with a price. Therefore, glorify the Most High in your body and your spirit, which are Yahweh's.
Bingo. So these bodies don't belong to us. These are leased vessels from the Heavenly Father. So with that being said, we should be honoring the Heavenly Father in our earthly tabernacle, which is our body, right? So one of the ways that we honor this earthly tabernacle is by taking care of it, right? So an analogy I'm going to be using really heavy tonight is the car analogy when it comes to the body. I think that's everyone has a car. I think it's very relatable when dealing with heavy concepts and heavy machinery and moving parts like the body. The body is the most technologically advanced organism on the entire planet Earth. The human body has God-given abilities that supersede any organism or piece of machinery on the planet Earth when taken care of properly, right? And already have, like I said, I've been going into this information probably the past 5 years as far as the human body is concerned, some of the things that it is able and capable of doing. So I wanted to start off with the basics, right? I want to go into micronutrients, macronutrients, then therefore go into some of the micronutrients, some of the macronutrients, and show you how these moving parts come together and move in unison to create a super organism called the human body, right? So without further ado, let's get to it, right? So tonight's lesson is the medical benefits of micronutrients, right? So some of the lesson objectives, right? By the end of this lesson, I want y'all to understand and learn what micronutrients are. So by the end, I'm hoping that you can take away from this the difference between vitamins and minerals, learning the basics of water and fat soluble vitamins, understanding the role of key minerals, recognizing deficiency symptoms, and reflecting on biblical reasons to care for your health. Right? So, another reason, we just got to be honest, family, as a nation, we're unhealthy. We're grossly unhealthy in the Black and Hispanic community at large. We have medical issues that range all the way from obesity to schizophrenia. And a lot of these things come from our diet and what we put in our bodies. It's that simple. Everything ain't the devil, everything ain't Satan. It's you. It's that simple. A lot of the diseases that Black and Hispanic people contract can be reversed by your diet, what you put in your mouth. It has been proven through study after study after study, control study after control study, that the diet and the environment that you live in can literally change the way that your genes express themselves, which is a later lesson, right? But what does that mean? That means that, say you're diabetic and you have a history of diabetes in your family, or say you have heart disease, whether that be hypertension, uh, 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 heart arrhythmia. Lord, what is the one where you have? Let me look this up real quick, Salakia. Forgive me, family. I just got up not too long ago. Heart palpitations, which is irregular heart rhythm or arrhythmia, abnormal heart valves, congestive heart failure. All of these things can be reversed by diet. right? So this is why Dr. Yaki Awaken, who just so happens to be a brother within the community, is so popular, right? Because he went and he has a very restrictive plant-based protocol that reverses a lot of diseases. Why? Because a fruitarian diet is probably the most low informational diet that you can be on. So what that does is allows the body to naturally heal itself. It puts the body in an environment where it can act out its natural healing and repair abilities that God gave it, right? So one of the most vital players in this healing process is micronutrients. It's the things that you don't really learn about in school. Nobody really tells you how important they are, and that's micronutrients, right? So, an illustration, a visual illustration verbally that I want you to think about is think of your body like a car. Carbs, fats, and proteins are the gasoline and metal. Those are considered the macronutrients. So that's the metal of the car. That's the frame. That's your doors, your windows, your windshield, right? Your door handles, uh, the trunk, all of those things, right? Those are your macronutrients, right? But vitamins and minerals are the spark plugs, motor oil, and wires. So look at it like this, right? I just had to get my spark plugs changed last year. And I was downtown one day. I had a full tank of gas. I was leaving work and my car didn't crank up. And I'm like, what's going on? I got a full tank of gas. I just got my oil changed. And guess what went out? Spark plug. If your spark plug has gone out, you're not going anywhere. You're not going to move. Doesn't matter if you just got a new paint job done on your car. It don't matter if you just got your windows tinted 5%. It don't matter if you're using premium oil and you just filled up. If your spark plug is out, your car is not going to move. Those spark plugs are your micronutrients, also known as vitamins and minerals. So without these tiny parts, without these tiny nutrients, your body will not work properly, optimally, or efficiently. Right? So now, what is a micronutrient? A micronutrient is a nutrient that your body needs in tiny amounts to stay alive and healthy. Simple as that. A micronutrient are nutrients your body needs in tiny amounts to stay alive and healthy. Unlike macronutrients, carbs, proteins, and fats give energy. Micronutrients regulate body processes. You understand? So again, think of your macronutrients like your car metal, the body, the door frame, the door handle, all of these things. The micronutrients, your vitamins and your minerals, those are your spark plugs, right? So these are the little thing, the motor oil, the wires in your car. You understand? All of these things actually make the car run and keep the car healthy, right? These are the things that when you have things going on with your car that you can't understand, you're missing a tick, right? Or your car stumping on the inside and you don't know what's going on. You're like, what is that? And you take it to the car shop and you get a diagnostic done. They're testing those things, right? Which will go into some of my lessons later on, and we'll do on this, right? Uh, Asking for certain tests when you go to the doctor. I've given brothers counsel many times on specific tests to ask for when you go to the doctor, because the doctor is not going to do certain tests unless you ask for them specifically. And one of them is a panel on your vitamins and your minerals. That can be done. You can get your vitamin K levels checked, your magnesium levels, your vitamin B, A, C, D, E, etc. You can get those things checked at the doctor, but that's not a routine screening because doctors are not trained to check those things for routine screening. Why? It's a more grander scheme because the pharmaceutical companies and the pharmaceutical industry at large is literally created to destroy and kill and stand in the place of population control of the Americans. That's what it's created for. And the world at large. It's to kill you. It's simple as that. I'm not going to hold any punches. The pharmaceutical companies are here to kill you. They're not here to make you feel better. Hence, why there always is no cure for certain diseases, quote unquote. Hence, why when you go to the doctor, they're not initially trying to cure you, they're trying to treat you. Hence, why you always get medications for symptoms and never trying to get to the root cause. Why do you have to get second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th opinions on things when going to the doctor? You should only have to go to a doctor once. You get your diagnostic done. They say, hey, I see X, Y, and Z going on. You have certain symptoms. Hey, come back in again. To me, you shouldn't have to go and get a second and third opinion. We're going to get to the bottom of the root of this issue. Why don't they do that? Because they're not trained to do that. They're trained to treat you because that's what makes them rich. Simple as that. I used to work in health insurance, customer service at Blue Cross Blue Shield. I used to deal directly with the claims. There's a reason that doctors get paid $250,000 and $300,000 a year, depending on the specialty, because these surgeries cost hella bread. Again, getting invasive surgeries done is after doing the pre-checks, the preventive things, which is getting your micronutrients. If you're getting your proper micronutrients later on, you don't have to get surgeries. They don't have to go in and put and cut out the plaque that's built up in your heart valves, and then you possibly die under the needle because you got a novice doctor who's in there working on you, because that happens plenty of times. People die all the time under the knife due to an unexperienced surgeon. And these things are preventable. And that's the purpose of this lesson, is showing you the preventive measures that you can take to keep yourself from getting to a point where now you got to go to the body shop. And now you may have somebody inside your body, the vessel of God, that's in there snipping, clipping, and stitching things that could very well go very, very wrong. Right? All praise to the Most High. So again, micronutrients are nutrients your body needs in tiny amounts to stay alive and healthy. The two main types of micronutrients, again, are your vitamins and your minerals. The definition of a vitamin is an organic compound from plants and animals. Minerals are inorganic elements from soil and water. And we're going to go into some of these things, right? And this is going to tie into, of course, the biblical narrative of the Most High creating us from the earth, right? Your body literally has iron in it. Iron makes up your blood. Iron is a metal. You understand? This is why when you bleed, it smells metallic, like metal when you're bleeding. If you've bled a lot before, or if you get a paper cut and you smell your finger and it smells metallic, it's because there's iron inside your blood cells. You have gold inside your body. You have silver inside your body. You understand? Because these things are natural compounds that are found present inside the earth because we come from the earth. Right? So examples. Vitamins. Vitamin C is in oranges. Vitamin D comes from sunlight and fatty fish. Minerals, iron and red meat, calcium and dairy, zinc, you get those from nuts. Right? So these are a couple examples of vitamins and minerals that we get on a daily basis. Right? So we're going to start off with vitamins and the different types of vitamins, right? Because there's different types of vitamins as well. And this is important to understand when building a healthy, organic, and holistic diet for yourself, right? So we're going to exactly. When a woman is on her flower, she may have a copper or metallic smell down there for the duration of her week. Again, because you're bleeding heavily, and that's a lot of metal that is being pushed out of your body during that cleansing process of your flower.
How you get my tape?
Hold on, slightly. Yeah, I got you. Are you good? So the first type of vitamin we're gonna check into is the water-soluble vitamins, right? Because you have water-soluble and you have fat-soluble vitamins. So you have vitamins soluble by just drinking water and having water in your system, and your body can absorb it that way. And then you have another metabolic pathway that vitamins are absorbed by, which is fat soluble. We're going to start with water, though. So water soluble vitamins. The characteristics of water soluble vitamins is these vitamins dissolve in water. They're not stored in the body. The excess is excreted in urine. If you take a multivitamin, one thing that you will notice with the excretion process of excess water soluble vitamins is vitamin B12, or not vitamin B12, riboflavin. I believe it's vitamin B7, right? And that shows up in neon yellow urine, right? Let me be exact and concise. I believe riboflavin is vitamin B2, Salaki, vitamin B2, riboflavin, right? If you take a multivitamin and you take, like me, I'm an athlete, so I lift heavy, so I take a really strong multivitamin, right, to push me through my day, get me through my workouts, things like that. And one thing in multivitamins specifically tailored toward athletes is it has a very high amount of riboflavin, right? And if you've ever taken anything like this, you may have a couple times you go to the restroom and your pee will be neon yellow. That's due to the excretion of excess riboflavin in your blood, right? So, with that being said, because these things can be flushed out, you have to replenish those vitamins daily, right? Gina, I'm a bodybuilder. So, a couple examples of these water soluble vitamins is your vitamin C, also known as ascorbic acid. You may see that on processed juices like orange juice, apple juice, grape juice, right? They always add ascorbic acid. Vitamin C is called the enrichment process, right? So vitamin C's function is immune support, collagen formation, wound healing, antioxidant protection, right? So if you're having issues where you get cuts and you get bruises and it takes a long time for it to heal, you might want to get your vitamin C checked. If you're consistently dealing with sicknesses every single time flu season comes around or cold season comes around, you might want to see if you're not getting enough vitamin C in your diet, right? If you're struggling with tendon issues, your knees always hurt, it may be an issue with the collagen formation process in your body due to low vitamin C, right? Because with that being said, when you have a deficiency in vitamin C, that can show up in certain diseases like scurvy, bleeding gums, fatigue, or poor wound healing, right? So some good sources of natural vitamin C, naturally bioavailable vitamin C, are citrus fruits, oranges, lemons, key limes, right? Bell peppers, strawberries, and broccoli. You understand? So it's important to eat your colors. That's what is known as in holistic medicine, right? Eating your colors, right? You want to have, every time you eat, you want to have a colorful plate. When eating this way, this ensures that you get your vitamins and minerals that you need on a daily basis for you to function. Exactly, Sister Cherish. Also in your skincare, right? So that's one water soluble vitamin. Another group of water soluble vitamins is your vitamin B's, right? So there's multiple types of vitamin B vitamins, right? So the first one is vitamin B1, also known as thiamine. So thiamine is responsible for energy metabolism and nerve health, right? You may be dealing with beriberi, muscle weakness, or nerve damage if you're dealing with a deficiency in vitamin B1, right? And some good sources of vitamin B1 holistically is whole grains and legumes. You also have one that I just referenced, which is riboflavin, vitamin B2. And riboflavin is responsible for converting food to energy. This also supports your vision, right? And good sources of vitamin B2 is dairy, eggs, and leafy greens, like the Sister Cherish just quoted in the chat, right? Vitamin B2 is very heavy in leafy greens and eggs, right? Vitamin B3, also known as niacin. Y'all may be familiar with niacin. Ratazan did a lesson on niacin and niacinamide and some of the benefits that he experienced from taking niacin, dealing with alcoholism, right? Helping wean you off naturally from having a codependence on alcohol. right? So vitamin B3 is responsible for DNA repair and your metabolism, right? Sometimes some of the symptoms you may experience from a vitamin B3 deficiency is pellagra, diarrhea, dermatitis, and dementia. Sister Olivia says she never had a problem as a kid because she ate off the trees. Exactly. Exactly. But we know in America specifically, I'm just going to speak on America, right? Because I've never lived anywhere else. I'm going to speak from firsthand experience. I think that's the best hands. The first, the best kind of information is primary information, right? In America, the food is not the same as it was even 30 years ago. I'm sure my brother Yatazar can speak to that, right? The food was different 30 years ago. The brother's older than me. Back in the 80s and the 90s, the food was different. Even McDonald's, down to McDonald's. McDonald's has changed and added so many fillers and foolishness to the food. It's different now. Some of the processed foods we eat, all of these things have changed over time. So the best way, of course, to stay healthy is, of course, eating an organic. And I wouldn't even say organic. I would just say having a whole foods diet, right? Because I don't want to make it, because eating organic can be outside of a lot of Israelites' budget. And again, this goes into the grandiose scheme of what I said earlier plainly. The people who know what's important and what's healthy for you want you to die. That's why it's expensive to eat healthy. That's why it's expensive to eat healthy, family. It's that simple, because the powers that be, the elite, the Psalms 83 nations who have power and control over import and export of goods, they want you to die. Simple as that. They don't want you to live. And this is one of the tools that they use, is your diet to kill you. I'm just going to speak frankly and call a spade a spade. They want you to die. That's why it's expensive to eat well. That's why it's hard to find good supplements. That's why it's hard to find good supplement companies, because the rabbit hole gets deep. It's even hard trying to find supplement companies that have high ethics and morals when processing their supplements. Right? These things are difficult, and are difficult on purpose. So again, moving on, right? So we got vitamin B3, vitamin B6, also known as pyridoxine. So vitamin B6 is responsible for brain development and mood regulation. Bingo, Aaliyah, nothing good comes easy, right? And this is one thing that we have control over as Israelites, is our diet. And this is something that we have to start taking more seriously. This is why we're seeing a lot of issues. A lot of Israelites are passing away due to health issues, things that were preventable, right? Things that didn't come out of left field. These things have been stirring and brewing for years and years on end as an Israelite that you never took care of. And it's partially due to ignorance, right? So that's what this lesson is for. Bingo, right? So you also have your vitamin B12, you have your vitamin B9, and you have biotin and pantothenic acid. A lot of women, y'all might be very familiar with biotin, right? A lot of women love biotin because biotin is good for your hair, your skin, and your nails, and the growth of it, right? Because a lot of women want to have long hair. They want to have long, healthy nails. They want to have beautiful skin, very vibrant and radiant skin, right? Biotin is responsible for those things. You understand? Right? Your vitamin B12, again, is good for your red blood cell production and nerve function. So your vitamin Bs are going to be very responsible for the way that you feel, your nerves, and how healthy they are, and also your brain health. So if you're dealing with brain fog, if you're dealing with memory loss, short-term memory loss, and memory loss in general, right? You're having hard times with your mental recall, right? You know, a lot of brothers who are really good at recalling the scriptures, knowing all the precepts, I can guarantee you they got high vitamin B levels. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. They eat a diet rich in leafy greens, legumes, and meat, because that's where you're going to get your vitamin B from. This is why it's not a good idea to have a vegan lifestyle. And I'm going to go into that, family. All of these narratives is bullish. If you got somebody, that's why I don't like that's why I really don't support Yaki like that. Because being a vegan does not work for everybody. God did not create man to be a damn vegan. Why do you think he gave Noah meat to eat? That's not what this lesson is for, though. Anybody pushing what is known as a fad diet, which is carnivore, keto, damn veganism, vegetarianism, run. You need a full holistic diet with all of your nutrients on the plate. That means your leafy vegetables. That means your fruits. That means your legumes. That means your dairy. That means your meats. All of it. That's called homeostasis or balance. You need everything to be healthy, not just one, not just the other. I digress, right? So, water soluble vitamins are like daily deposits into your health account. If you don't eat them every day, your body runs low. So, a lot of times we struggle with energy as Israelites, and 9 times out of 10, again, it's probably because you're not getting enough fruits and vegetables. I can guarantee 9 times out of 10, an Israelite is not eating 9 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. You need that. That is where you're going to get your micronutrients from, is your fruits and your veggies. You got to eat them. Right? So, briefly recapping on water-soluble vitamins, right? Water-soluble vitamins dissolve in water. They are not stored in the body like fat-soluble vitamins. Excess is excreted in urine. It must be replenished daily. Exactly, Ratazan. I'm a proponent of the Mediterranean diet. This is the diet that Jesus and the disciples ate. It was well-rounded. It was heavy in fish. If y'all know that being a fisherman was a heavy occupation in ancient Near East, especially in Israel, because we lived off the coast, right? So we had healthy fats coming from our fish. We had a lot of olives. We had fruits. We had vegetables, figs, things of that nature. You can see a lot of the biblical fruits, veggies, and meats. We ate lean meats. We had fatty meats. You understand? And it encompasses all of your vitamins, your nutrients, your micros, and your macros are going to be found in a Mediterranean diet. Right? So now, again, a practical tip to get those in is eating fresh vegetables and fruits every day. If you're eating a colorful plate every day, it's going to be hard for you to be vitamin and mineral deficient. Simple as that. Shalom, Sister K. Right? So now moving on to fat-soluble vitamins. Right? Fat-soluble vitamins. We learned about water-soluble. Now we're going to go on to the fat-soluble vitamins. So your fat-soluble vitamins, some of the characteristics of fat-soluble vitamins is they dissolve in fats and oils. These type of vitamins are stored in liver and fat tissues. Shalom, Sister Angel. Ashar Shabbat. Right? Fat-soluble vitamins are stored in your liver and your fat tissue. So these vitamins are stored in your body. And these you have to be careful with because they are not excreted right away. They're stored in the body. It's easy if you take too much of one of these fat-soluble vitamins for you to get vitamin toxicity, which can kill you. I say that again. Fat-soluble vitamins have to be monitored closely to make sure you're not in excess because you can get vitamin toxicity and die. Too much of anything is a bad thing, family. This is holistic health 101. It's about balance. Too much of anything is a bad thing. Let me get a precept real quick. Let's go to the book of Proverbs 16 and 11. And it says, a just weight and balance are the Lord's. All the weights of the bag are his work, right? So a just weight and balance are the Lord's. The Lord deals with a just weight, balance in life, yin and yang, right? You must have balance. Too much of anything is a bad thing, right? So digressing, fat soluble vitamins don't need to be eaten daily. and excess can accumulate and become toxic. This is known as vitamin toxicity, where you literally can have too much of a fat soluble vitamin and it can literally kill you. You can die from having too much of a vitamin. This is important, right? And let me preface my statements with this because I didn't do it at the beginning. Seek medical attention when getting tests done to make sure that your levels are where they need to be, right? That's really the primary use that I would recommend for using a doctor for is getting your test done, getting your blood test done, urine test done, getting your panels done, just to make sure you're within a healthy range of all of the things that you need, right? Vitamins, minerals, hormones. Those are the two main things that I would make sure you're on point with. Your vitamins, your minerals, and your hormones. If those two things are in check, 9 times out of 10, you're optimal, right? You're operating efficiently as a human being. If your hormones are in check and in a healthy range, and your vitamins and minerals are in a healthy range, 9 times out of 10, you're optimal, right? So, moving on. Some of the fat soluble vitamins. One is vitamin A. Vitamin A is responsible for your vision, immune system, and skin health. Exactly, Leah. You use them for the tools that they have to make you better and keep you healthy because they have access to certain tools that we don't. They have test Salakia. They have access to certain technologies that the layman Israelite does not have access to. So you want to use them for those things, right? So vitamin A, responsible for your vision, immune system, and skin health, right? A deficiency in vitamin A can show up as night blindness, or you could have skin problems, right? So if you're low in vitamin A, you may have night blindness where it's hard for you to see at night, or you may have skin issues that can show up as eczema, psoriasis, things like that that can show up and could possibly be linked to a vitamin A deficiency. Good natural sources of vitamin A are carrots, sweet potatoes, liver, and leafy greens, right? Your orange veggies are going to be really good sources for your vitamin A, as well as organic eggs, right? I don't know about y'all, but I've had some really good eggs that have the yolk has a really, really deep orange color. That's an egg that's really high in vitamin A. It's an egg yolk that has a really deep orange color. The more yellow and bright your egg yolk is, the less vitamin rich that egg is, as a rule of thumb. The less orange and lighter and brighter yellow the yolk of your egg is, the less nutrient uh, filled that egg is. Exactly, Sister Abigail. Having a vitamin E skincare product, very good for your skin, very good for the protection of your skin, right? I know my sisters, they really heavy off into the skincare regimen, especially my wife, right? She got all kind of skincare stuff, right? But your vitamin A's, your E's, all of those things, going to be really, really good for your skin. Sister K. So that's the difference, right? The deeper the orange of your egg yolk, the more bioavailable the vitamin A is in the egg, right? And this is why, again, I'm going to do a lesson on how to shop, how to grocery shop. My Hebrew Ethics channel, it's been kind of on pause because I've been cooking on the main channel. But I'm gonna get it back cracking. I'm gonna start giving y'all all of that stuff, right? I've been trying to, I'm still gonna do breakdowns and biblical lessons on there and things of that nature. I still haven't forgotten about the series that I started on there. But I'm gonna start giving y'all this stuff, right? How to shop when you go to a grocery store, shopping on the perimeter of the store and trying to stay out of the interior of the store as much as possible, right? Little tips like that, little tips and tricks like that, so that you can have a healthier, more fulfilling life, right? But yes, when you're looking at eggs, you want to get pasture raised, organic, cage-free eggs, right? The brown ones, but it's not always about them being brown because sometimes the brown eggs are just like the white eggs. There's no real difference. You want to have eggs that have a very deep orange color to the yolk. Colin, that's a great idea, Sister Leah. That's a great idea. Great idea. right? Because this is actually training that you get in the schooling that I've been through, how to shop, how to read a nutrition label. You'll be surprised how many people don't know how to read a nutrition label. This is not a skill that everybody possesses, which is good because it's something that I can give y'all and teach y'all how to do, right? So with that being said, moving on, right? So vitamin A, again, an excess of vitamin A can cause liver damage. So if you have too much vitamin A, it literally can hurt your kidney. And your kidney is one of the most vital organs in your body. If you lose your kidney, you're gonna die. You cannot live. I mean, your liver, Salaki. If you lose your liver, you might as well chalk it up. You're gonna give up the ghost. You cannot live without a liver. Your liver is literally the filtration system of your entire body. You're cooked if you lose your liver. Might as well go ahead and lay it down, right? So you want to watch and monitor your vitamin and your mineral intake to make sure that these things are within healthy ranges. And that is one of the purposes and uses of a doctor is getting those tests done regularly, whether you get them done monthly until you get to a point where you're stable, and then you go quarterly, and then you can go bi-quarterly, or semi-annually rather. This is something that you want to monitor. Is your vitamin and your mineral, especially your fat-soluble vitamin levels, right? Because you may be getting too much of one thing and not even know it. These things literally can creep up on you. Bingo. Moving on, vitamin D, right? Uh, Most Black people don't suffer from vitamin D. A lot of Americans suffer from vitamin D now because so much of our workforce is inside of buildings, corporate America. We're not outside as much as we used to be, just as a people in general. So we don't get a lot of natural vitamin D activation from the sun. You understand? I like to look at vitamin D less like a vitamin and actually more like a hormone. Because vitamin D is responsible for your hormone regulation as well. So vitamin D, the function of vitamin D helps absorb calcium for strong bones, right? And a deficiency in vitamin D can show up in rickets in children, meaning they have soft bones and osteoporosis. So vitamin D is very, very important for your bone health. And if you have a weak skeletal structure, the skeletal structure is what holds up your entire body. If your skeletal structure is weak, your body's going to be weak. You're not going to be able to move around. So it's important that you get a proper and adequate amount of vitamin D. And one of the most natural ways of getting vitamin D, of course, vitamin D is known as the sunlight vitamin. Getting 30 to 45 minutes of good sunlight. And this also depends on where you live. This depends on where you live, family. I live in the South where it's hot as hell in the summertime. I can go outside for 30 minutes and get my daily dose of vitamin D as opposed to somebody who lives in Colorado where the sun is further away and they need to be outside 45 minutes to an hour. The same way with my brothers out in California. It's hot as hell out there. They don't have to be outside all day to get their daily dose of vitamin. They can be out there for 30 to 45 minutes and get their adequate amount of vitamin D for the day. Because it depends on the sun's relation to where you live. In the deep south, you don't need to be outside all day. You're going to get cooked in 30 to 45 minutes. The sun might take you up out of here. You might pass out outside. That's how heavy the sun is out here. It feel like it's right on your face. You understand? So it depends on where you at as well. So good sources of vitamin D is sunlight, of course, salmon, but primarily sunlight. And if you can't get much sunlight, like I said, if you have a sedentary lifestyle, just due to the work you do, whether you work in the office, you work from home, it's going to be difficult for you to get your vitamin D intake because of your work. So you need to have a vitamin D supplement, right? I recommend a 10,000 IU vitamin D supplement for anybody, right? A good brother who's really, that I've looked into his work heavily on this is Dr. Eric Berg. He's an Edomite. Dr. Eric Berg has excellent, wonderful work specifically on vitamin D, right? and 10,000 units of vitamin D a day really should be taken twice, depending on if you get vitamin D or not. And that only equals about 20 to 30 minutes in sunlight. Natural sunlight is 10,000 units of vitamin D. You understand? So if you have a sedentary lifestyle and you work at home, I know a lot of my sisters, y'all work from home, or you have corporate jobs where you work inside of a building and you can't really get outside, right? Because Esau is the devil and he's wicked and evil and sadistic, and again wants to kill you. Make sure you get a vitamin D supplement. Make sure you get a vitamin D supplement, right? So, vitamin E, I digress. Vitamin E is also a fat soluble vitamin. The functions of vitamin E is antioxidant, protecting cells, right? That's the function of vitamin E, is to protect your cells, Salakia, from oxidation. What is oxidation? Oxidation is essentially looking at your cells like rusting metal. When your cells start to oxidize, it's like metal rusting. Just visualize your cells rusting and exploding and imploding. That's what oxidation does. That's how cancer is formed, by oxidation of your cells. You understand? Good sources of vitamin E are going to be your nuts, your seeds, and your vegetable oils. Extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil are my recommendations for good oils to cook with, right? A deficiency in vitamin E can show up as nerve and muscle damage, right? Also, if you have low vitamin E, that can show up and increase bleeding risk. A lot of sisters who have really heavy periods normally have low vitamin E levels. For my sisters who have heavy flows, right, when you get on your flower, a lot of the time it's because you have low vitamin E levels. This is why you're bleeding so much. It's why your periods are so heavy. That's why they hurt so bad, because you're vitamin deficient. See that? Leah says she uses vitamin E. It's very, very important for the sisters, specifically when you're on your flower, to have, even if you don't take vitamin E heavily throughout the duration of your 30-day cycle, when you're menstruating, it's important for you to take vitamin E to help with your flow. Because a lot of sisters complain of having heavy flows. You understand? So one of the ways to mitigate that is by having vitamin E, specifically in menstruation. Last one, vitamin K, right? Specifically, vitamin K2 is the one that you want to use, because vitamin K2 is the most bioavailable form of vitamin K, right? And ideally, what I recommend people who ask me and people I coach is to get a vitamin D3 and K2 supplement where those two vitamins are together. Why? Vitamin K2 is a precursor for vitamin D3. What does that mean? Having vitamin K2 allows you to absorb vitamin D3 more easily. So when you have the presence of vitamin K2 at the same time as vitamin D3, it makes it easier for you to absorb the vitamin D3. And that's a lesson we'll get into later, precursors and things of that nature to other vitamins, and pairing vitamins together to help the absorption of the other. Thanks, Marcus. Vitamin K. Vitamin K is responsible for keeping you from having blood clots, and it also helps in bone health. Again, vitamin D3 and K2 work together very, very closely. Vitamin K2 is a precursor for vitamin D3, right? So you can look at vitamin K2 like the bouncer for a celebrity, which is vitamin D3. The bouncer is going to make sure he clears the crowd and make sure nobody touches vitamin D3 until he gets to his destination. That's vitamin K2 for vitamin D3. So you always want to have vitamin K2 to the best of your ability alongside vitamin D3 to help with the absorption of vitamin D3. So again, the function of vitamin K is to protect your body from blood clot and bone, and it supports bone health as well, right? A deficiency in vitamin K as well can subject yourself to bleeding disorders. And good sources of vitamin K is your green leafy vegetables and your broccoli, right? So a practical tip again, because we want to make this thing easy. We don't want to have to think about our vitamins and our minerals too much. The easy way to do this to get your fat soluble vitamins is just include healthy fats in your meals. Drizzling avocado oil, drizzling olive oil on your meals after you cook it, right? Mix it with your vegetables to absorb these vitamins. So you want to eat a colorful plate full of colors, right? Colors are good. You want to eat your purple vegetables, your orange, your yellow, your green, your blue, your red. You want to eat those things on your plate. You want to have them on your plate. And you also, with your more heavier meals like your lunches and your dinners, you want to have healthy oils in there. Avocado. Avocado is probably the best fruit source. Yes, avocado is a fruit source for your fat intake. You understand? Right? So these are easy ways to get in these vitamins and these minerals so that you stay on top of this. Right? Because a lot of people they can't even take pills or they have such a busy life that they forget to take their supplements and things of that nature. So an easy way to get it in, because everybody cooks, eat your colors, eat the rainbow, right? No starburst, but eat the rainbow. Also eat your fats. So drizzle olive oil, drizzle avocado oil, and eat your avocados. You understand? All right. Now we're going to transition into your minerals. Right. So what now I'm gonna do is we broke down vitamins into water soluble vitamins and fat soluble vitamins. Went into each category and the vitamins associated with it. Now we're going to transition into minerals. Right. And I'm also going to kind of subsection the mineral section as well into macro minerals and then your trace minerals. Right. So a macro mineral, the characteristic of a macro mineral is it's a mineral that is needed in larger amounts. Right. These macro minerals, they build your bones, they maintain your fluid or electrolyte balance in your body, and they also help your muscles contract. Right. And I'm going to put this in a PowerPoint, family. I'm going to put all of this information in PowerPoint and I'll present it to whoever needs it. Just so y'all have visuals as well. Just so y'all know. This is going into a PowerPoint. I was going to have it in PowerPoint form next week, but again, my number got called early. But I'm actually gonna represent this in presentation form because it's gonna build into a couple other lessons as well. But again, macro minerals are minerals that you need in larger amounts. And remember, let's go back to the initial definition of a mineral. A mineral is an inorganic element that comes from soil and water. Right? So now, macro minerals. I'm going to break it down into macro minerals and trace minerals, right? So your macro minerals are going to be responsible for building your bones, maintaining your fluid and electrolyte balance in your body, which is very, very important, right? Your electrolytes are like your spark plugs. If you have an electrolyte deficiency or an electrolyte irregulation, you can die. You will literally die from having an electrolyte irregulation in your body. That's electrolytes is the electricity that your body is fueled off of, because your body is electric. That's why you see in all this new age spirituality, they're talking about your vibe and your frequency and all those things. It's truth in that, because your body is electric. Your brain literally has neurons and electrons. These are electrical units inside of your brain. So your body is electric, and it does produce electricity on the inside of it. Right, and your electrolytes are responsible for that, and that's what we're going to go into as far as the trace minerals goes. But we're going to start in the macro mineral section, right? So a macro mineral is calcium. The function of calcium is to help with your bones and teeth and helping with your nerve signal health, right? And deficiency in calcium can lead to osteoporosis, right? Which is a bone disease, which is terrible, which cripples you and pretty much can leave you bedridden if you end up with osteoporosis, right? So a good way to get your calcium is through dairy, right? Your yogurts or your milk. Of course, in moderation, of course. Milk and sardines. Con. The water, Olivia. Um, so dairy fortified plant milk and sardines, right? So if you don't really mess with the cow milk, like I don't, me and my house, we don't eat cow, we don't drink cow milk or consume cow milk, right? So we do the fortified plant milks, whether that be soy, whether that be coconut milk, whether that be almond, oat, etc. Right? These things come fortified. I talked about I kind of mentioned that fortification process earlier, where during the processing of these plant milks, they enrich the milk with vitamins and minerals, meaning they put ascorbic acid and the other things into the milk. You may see this in your cereals as well, right? I'm not talking about your Fruit Loops and your Apple Jacks and things like that. I'm talking about like if you eat oatmeal, like the Quaker oats, those are enriched with vitamins and minerals. Your if y'all eat having a brain fart, if my wife's in the shade, help me out, babe. What do I eat? It's another type of cereal. It's creamy. It's it'll come back to me. Anyways, a lot of these things are enriched. I appreciate you too, Marvelous. A lot, the water. A lot of these things are enriched, meaning they have the vitamins and the minerals added to the product. Right? I digress. Magnesium. Well, that's actually an interesting topic, Sister K, because soy affects people differently. There's a documentary on Netflix about athletes who went vegan. The name of it is actually, let me Google it. I got Google right here in front of me. Uh, and I want you to watch it if you haven't, right? That's interesting. Uh, there's a documentary on Netflix about, it's called The Game Changers. The Game Changers, right? It's on Netflix. If you haven't watched it, I would go and watch it, right? You have professional athletes that went vegan, and it's a documentary about their lives and their transition into a vegan lifestyle. And they actually go into the medical properties and benefits of soy, right? Also, I want you to look into the blue zones. The blue zones are groups of communities globally who have been proven to live the longest, right? And one of what I found very interesting about the blue zones is the communities that are blue zone areas. Of course, the number one thing in those communities is that they're plant based. That's number one. But they ate a lot of soy. It's high in protein. It's probably the easiest source of plant based protein you're gonna find, right? But soy does affect everybody differently. This is why I said earlier, if you follow in fad diets or diets where you have people pushing that one size fits all, is foolishness, because every single individual is different. Everybody is different. So soy may not work for Sister K, but soy may work perfectly for me, as well as myself. Soy doesn't work for me personally. Ashire, I can't do soy. My wife, she drinks soy milk by the gallon. I can't do it. It hurts me, right? It makes my stomach feel crazy. I start getting all kind of reactions to it. But my wife has no problem with it. So again, this is something that we want to go away from. The same way that we had to leave Christianity and the dogmas of Christianity is the same way in health and wellness. We have to leave the dogmas behind. Everybody's body is different. One person or one man or woman can be vegan and live a healthy, copacetic lifestyle and be optimal. I cannot be vegan. You understand? I have to have meat in my diet. Simple and plain. I gotta have it. I gotta have a steak. I gotta have some salmon. I have to have it. You get me? But I know my sister Raya, I don't know if she still is, but she's vegan right now. She's been doing a lot of juicing. She's thriving right now. I can't do it. I gotta have some meat. I don't, and I've been vegan before for an extended period of time. I've been vegan for 9 months at a time. You understand? But I gotta have some meat. You get me? And I can live optimally like that. I feel great. My hormones are high. My testosterone is high in the 800 and 900 range. Right? My testosterone takes a dip when I have a vegan or vegetarian lifestyle. Oh, the sister said not anymore. See that? See that? But nevertheless, right, it's good to do these things seasonally as well. But one thing I want y'all to understand is that one size does not fit all when it comes to health and wellness. The same way with exercise when I'm coaching clients, every exercise doesn't work for the same client. Everybody's body physiology is different. So Roger says she came to the realization of what I'm saying. You get me? So everybody's body is different because you're going to lose some vitamins and minerals that are bioavailable. Let me look this up real quick. Y'all decide. Can you share my screen real quick? Salaki, if you're still with me, King. I'm about to present right now. Let me show y'all something, right? Because this is something that's wrong with brothers who be pushing this vegan vegetarian doctrine, right? Can you share my screen, King? Uh-oh. I think my brother left me. But nevertheless, I'll read this definition for y'all, right? Bioavailability. And this is something I want y'all to look up, right? Bioavailable vitamins and minerals, right? Bioavailability is defined as the degree and rate at which a substance, such as a drug, is absorbed into a living system or is made available at the site of physiological activity. What does that mean in layman's terms, right? Certain foods have a more readily available, how do I want to say this? A more readily available form of the vitamin and mineral for your body to absorb naturally. So, for example, red meat has a more bioavailable or more easily absorbable form of iron as opposed to taking an iron supplement. Drop a 7 in the chat if that makes sense. Drop a 7 in the chat if that makes sense. So, for another example, your vitamin B complex. If you go vegan, the sister Raya already attested to this. Your energy levels are going to take a dip. Why? Because you don't have a bioavailable form of your vitamin B complex that you're getting. You're not going to be able to get it from plants. Some of them you will, but it's not going to be a bioavailable form of the B complex. Forgive me, my daughter. She going through sleep regression right now. Anyways, so this is why it's important again to have a well-rounded diet, family. Well-rounded. You need fruits, veggies, and meats. You need all of it. You need all of it. Right? So you're gonna have foods, and this is what deterred me from being vegan back. I went vegan in 2020. Me and my father did it together. When I first found the truth, I went vegan. Right? And juicing is still a good practice to have on a regular day basis. Why? Because it makes it easier for you to get those vitamins and minerals. Right? But nevertheless, there's some vitamins and minerals that are not going to be readily available for your body to absorb or absorb well when you're going vegan. The same on the flip side for a brother who goes carnivore. A brother who goes carnivore is cutting out so many vitamins and minerals that are literally imperative for their health. Now, these things are good for a season, seasonally, or for dealing with certain ailments, but not for long term. You're going to run into problems. That's why you get keto flu when you go keto. Or you get ketoacidosis. Right? These are all byproducts of removing vitamins and minerals that are essential for the human body to function. I digress. Let's keep going, right? So the next macro mineral is magnesium. This is one of my favorites, right? And magnesium comes in different forms. It can come in citrate, glycinate, biglycinate, oxide, magnesium oxide. I recommend magnesium glycinate. So that's magnesium glycinate is good for people who are just got done smoking weed. They're trying to get off smoking weed because it gives you the same effect without all the other psychoactive properties of smoking weed. It relaxes the body completely. It helps you sleep at night, helps with your mood, helps with your hormone level regulation, all of these things. You understand? So magnesium is good for your muscle function and nerve transmission, right? A lot of women who get older and brothers who get older, they start dealing with muscle cramps and fatigue. A lot of times it's due to a magnesium deficiency, guaranteed. Right? Good sources of magnesium are going to be your nuts, whole grains, and leafy greens. Right? Salaki family, give me 1 second. The next macronutrient, macro mineral, is going to be your potassium, right? So your potassium, the function of potassium, this is an electrolyte. Your potassium is important for your electrolyte balance and your heart rhythm. So if you're having heart palpitations, if you're dealing with heart arrhythmia, a lot of times your electrolytes are out of balance. And potassium and sodium, the ones I'm about to go into, are very key and important electrolytes for your body, right? So the function of potassium, of course, is electrolyte balance and heart rhythm, right? If you have a low potassium intake, you're gonna deal with weakness and irregular heartbeat. So a lot of people who have heart palpitation or deal with anxiety, a lot of times their electrolytes are out of balance. All of these things tie into your overall health. You gotta have it, right? Good sources of potassium are gonna be your bananas, potatoes, and beans, right? Sodium. All right, we've been on here an hour. I'm gonna kind of get through this, y'all. I ain't gonna hold y'all too long, right? Drop a 7 in the chat if y'all enjoying the lesson. I ain't gonna bore you with all the things, right? Next, sodium, right? Sodium is another one, another very key and vital electrolyte. Sodium is responsible for healthy nerve impulses and electrolyte balance again, right? So good sources of sodium, of course, are your salt, pink Himalayan salt or Celtic salt or sea salt, right? A deficiency can cause confusion and weakness. So if you've ever done very heavy, intense workouts, or if you work really hard and exerted yourself very heavily in a day, you may have lost a lot of sweat. And sometimes if you are an ex-athlete, if you've been outside all day, you know, especially in the South, because in the South it's very humid and you sweat a ton outside. By the end of practice, when you take all your gear off, your pads, whatever, you'll have salt residue on your shirts. You'll have salt deposits on your shirts and on your face and on the back of your neck. It'll be dry, right? From sweating out all of that sodium, you have to put it back in. Or else it can cause dehydration. You can get full body cramps. You can pass out. I've dealt with all of these things, right? Especially when I was in school playing football and I didn't know anything about nutrition or about hydration or any of it, right? But you would get salt deposits after being outside and training and practicing all day because you're sweating out the sodium, right? And also on the flip side, having too much sodium can cause high blood pressure. And all of us know about that, right? Because our community does what? We over season. We over season our food a lot of times. We put too much salt in it. Yes, we the salt of the earth, but everything has to be done in moderation, family. Again, too much of anything is a bad thing. You can die from overwater consumption. All of these things. Too much of anything is a bad thing. You have to be careful and measure your seasonings, your food portions, your serving sizes. All of these things need to be measured, right? But I like pink Himalayan salt. If you exercise, if you want a solid pre-workout, you just need 3 ingredients, in my opinion: honey, pink Himalayan salt, and beetroot powder. And you're gonna have the nastiest, most vicious pump you've ever felt in your entire life. It's gonna be vicious, skin splitting, right? So pink Himalayan salt, very, very important, very crucial in your health, right? And then phosphorus, the last macro mineral I'm going to. So they say, yes, I felt faint working out. I started putting a shake of Celtic salt and lime in my water while working out. Exactly. Exactly. Right? That sea salt to get you through your workout. Right? And I'm telling you, if you lift weights, like which I encourage all of my sisters to start doing, is lifting weights in some capacity, right? In some capacity, sisters, don't be a cardio bunny. Lift some type of weight, do some type of resistance training, even if it's just with bands. Like you're intimidated by the gym scene, you never lifted a weight in your life, you don't know where to start. Just get you some bands from Walmart and start doing some type of resistance training, sisters. It's important for your health, right? But I digress, right? Last macro mineral is phosphorus. Phosphorus is that stinky, what I like to call the stinky mineral, right? That's when you had too many eggs and you passed some flatulence and it smelled like who did it and why, right? That's phosphorus, right? But phosphorus is good for your body, right? The functions of phosphorus is for your bones and energy metabolism. And again, bioavailable forms of phosphorus come from meat, dairy, and nuts. Simple, right? Meat, dairy, and nuts. Primarily red meat and eggs, right? Primarily red meat and eggs where you're going to get your very good forms of bioavailable phosphorus. So, with that being said, Sister Janae said she thinks she needs 2 baths. Anybody in the chat feel like that? I'll put moisturizer, and whenever I feel like it, even if I don't, my skin will feel dry by the end of the day, and I need a second wash. Yes. So I struggle with eczema too, sis. A lot of so eczema is just skin inflammation, right? And that comes from diet, right? So one thing that you need to make sure that you're getting enough of is water intake, hydration through fruit, coconut water. Primarily, I add trace minerals to my water, which we're about to get into is trace minerals. Also, making sure you have a low inflammatory diet, because again, eczema is triggered by inflammation. And if you're eating a lot of processed foods, uh, or you're stressed, right, all of these things cause inflammation in the body. You want to keep your inflammation low to avoid flare ups in your eczema, right? Moving on, right? Yeah, sea moss topically. Also, black seed. If you do a black seed oil and honey butter whip butter and put it on top of your skin, excellent natural remedy for eczema. You can put sea moss in it too, but black seed oil, honey, and sea moss mixed together, whipped up in the butter, yeah, brand new skin, brand new skin. Question: could you look into how chicken is man-made, like how Marvelous Mind said? Yeah, I can do a search on chicken being man-made. I wouldn't say it's man-made. I would say probably modified over time, kind of like broccoli or corn, because chicken is in the Phasianidae family with quails and turkeys and things like that. I wouldn't say it's man-made, but definitely had yard bird has definitely been modified for sure. But this one thing we gotta understand, family, is this, right? The prophets already told us what time it was. It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 4 and verse 13, and it reads, and the Lord said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them. So our food is defiled, period, over here in America and just in the world in general. The food is defiled. It's not in its original state, period. Nothing is, family. Nothing is the original. What Adam and Eve were eating, we no longer have those food types anywhere on the planet. You understand? That's what we have to understand biblically, is that our food is defiled. It doesn't have the same nutrient value as it used to. The ground doesn't have the soil doesn't even maintain the same nutrient and mineral richness that it used to. Nothing is the same, family. That's what we have to understand. You're not gonna have the Adam and Eve diet. That's the mistake that brothers make when they always talk about veganism this, veganism that. Brother, your fruits and your vegetables were sprayed with insecticides, herbicides, and pesticides, bro. You did not wash all that. stuff off. Everything has been defiled. All of our food. Exactly, Sister Angel. So we do the best that we can with what we have, right? So in the coming lessons, I'm gonna go into reading food labels, the importance of that, understanding different titles like organic. What does organic mean? What does RBHF free mean? What does hormone free mean? What does pasture raised mean? What does cage free mean? All of those things. Janae, what was your question? Let me see. If some things feel good to eat or consume, does that mean the Most High does want us to make use of it at all? Like if we don't eat a certain plant, does that mean it's unlawful to use in our skin and hair? Uh, I would abstain. I don't know exactly. Can you rephrase your question for me, Janae? Restate it, like rephrase it for me, because I'm kind of confused on what you're asking. Rephrase it and resend it. And I'll answer your question. But nevertheless, yeah. So all of our food is defiled, family. Aaliyah. So the brother Marvelous brought out a good point. Corn has been modified. The corn that we eat today is not the corn that our forefathers ate. The broccoli we eat today is not the broccoli that our forefathers ate. The lamb that we eat today is not the lamb that our forefathers ate 2,000 years ago. You understand? Right? Everything is different. Everything is different now. And let me give one more precept, matter of fact. Let me go to the book of Second Esdras, chapter 14 and verse 17. Let me show you something, right? So this is Second Esdras chapter 14 and verse 17, and it says, "For look how much the world shall be weaker through age, so much the more, so much the more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein." Right. So the point being is the earth and the things thereof are weaker now than they were 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years ago. The world that Nehemiah lived in and Ezra lived in are completely different than the world that we live in today. Completely different. If you time travel back to 456 BC and ended up amongst Israel, you probably would have got killed. You wouldn't know how to operate. You wouldn't know how to function. It's a completely different world. We live in a completely different age, a completely different timeline now than our forefathers did, right? So the foods that they ate and the quality of food that they had is completely different than what it is now. Completely different, right? I digress, right? So now let's go into the trace minerals. So characteristics of trace minerals is they're needed in tiny amounts. They're critical for enzymes and hormones, right? So one of them is iron. Uh, if the scriptures say that a certain plant or something is unlawful to eat, does that mean the Most High doesn't want us to use it for our skin either? Such as something is unhealthy to eat, but it's healthy for your skin. I would abstain away from unlawful foods and using them. Period. Period. I would abstain from using. To my sister Angel's point, if you're putting some on your skin is your biggest organ on your body, and you're absorbing that into your entire body. So you're absorbing unlawful food mixtures into your body by way of the biggest transportation system on your body. So abstain from all sin. Period. Period. And that's in anything. Abstain from all sin. Period. The Lord has given no man license to sin. Right. I digress. Iron. Iron carries oxygen in your blood, right? A deficiency in iron can lead to anemia, fatigue, and weakness. A lot of our sisters are anemic, right? A lot of black women are anemic, right? The source of your iron is red meat, beans. Hold on, family. One second. Let me call you outside. Hey, y'all, bear with me 1 second. All right, there we go. Calm. All right, now back to it, family. All praise to the Most High. Let me get my PowerPoint back up. Okay. Anemia. Sister Janae said, what is anemia? Anemia is the condition of having low red blood cells, low red blood cell count, right? A lot of our sisters have anemia, right? So a lot of sisters, they joke around saying they're anemic. But some of us, our sisters really do have anemia, right? So it's hard for them to stay warm. A lot of times they're subject to fainting and things of that nature due to them having low red blood cells. Yes, which is a symptom of low iron. Correct, Kay. Correct. But that's what anemia is, though. Right? So, one of the ways to build your iron is eating your leafy greens, specifically spinach and your red meat. That's how you're going to build your iron, right? So, that's necessary for building your iron. God. Right? So, one thing that our sisters, specifically the Southern Kingdom, deal with is definitely anemia. Southern Kingdom deals with anemia heavily, right? So make sure you're getting your red meat in. Make sure you're getting your green leafy vegetables, right? This is going to help build your iron and therefore kind of mitigate the anemic symptoms, such as, not being able to get warm, not being able to move around as you would, fainting, those kind of things. You want to build your iron. The next trace mineral is zinc. Zinc is responsible for hormones, immune support, and wound healing, right? So if you're low on zinc, again, this is going to kind of play into your wound healing. And if you bruise easily, if you cut easily, right, and it takes forever for your skin to heal, like honestly, if you get a cut, that wound should be healed. I mean, depending on if it's skin deep, you get grazed or something like that, your white blood cells should activate immediately. You'll start having the pussiness go around. Pussiness is a good thing. That means your white blood cells are reacting to the wound and beginning the repair process. That's what pus is. White blood cells reacting to the wound. If that's not happening, you have an issue, family. There's an issue going on that you need to address quickly, because that's a defense mechanism to keep you from getting an infection. Because if you get an infected wound, that can lead to the loss of a limb, right? The infection could get in your blood, and then you have a blood infection, and then you're pretty much cooked. You're toast, right? So you want to make sure that your zinc is high. All of these immune building vitamins and minerals, you want to make sure that they're high. You want to make sure your immune system is operating at the highest optimal levels it possibly can, right? And I got a few tried and true. Sepsis, exactly. If you go septic, you're pretty much cooked. You're donezo. You're giving up the ghost. You might as well say, Father, into your hands I commend my spirit, because you ain't coming back from it. Sister K said, I always wonder why every blue moon I get hangnails on multiple nails is that low in potassium. It could be linked. That's why I'm saying, if you do have health insurance, family, go to your doctors and ask for a vitamin and mineral panel. Ask for a vitamin and a mineral panel to see where your vitamin and mineral levels are. That's going to be very telling on your health. A vitamin and mineral panel, also your hormone panel, a full hormone panel as well. That's like looking up under the hood. That's looking up under the hood, family. That's going to that mechanic and getting a diagnostic done on your engine. Things that you can't see, right? So I definitely adjure everybody to go to your doctor and get a vitamin and mineral panel, also a full hormone diagnostic done. See where your hormone levels are, right? Because all of these things play a role, and then we can kind of go from there, right? Next one is iodine, right? Iodine's function, right? So sea moss is high in iodine, right? This trace mineral is responsible for your thyroid health, specifically your thyroid hormones, and for your metabolism, because your thyroid hormones and your metabolism are linked. So if you're having issues losing weight, a lot of times for my sisters, because again, our sisters normally have thyroid issues, right? This could be linked, prefacing with could, right? Because it could be a gang of other issues, but it could be linked to low iodine, right? And a good source of iodine is, of course, iodized salt. And a deficiency in this can lead to thyroid issues, which can be an enlarged thyroid. A lot of our sisters sometimes have to get their thyroids removed. And this is what I want to prevent from happening. I want to prevent you from having to go under the needle, right? We want to keep our procedures the least invasive as least invasive as possible, right? So we want to take the preventive measures to ensure we don't have to go, or at least do our best to make sure we don't have to go up under an edomitic needle or a knife, right? We want to make sure we don't have to do that. So this is the way that we do that, right? The next one is selenium, right? Selenium is for antioxidant protection, right? And a deficiency in selenium can lead to heart disease, whether they be hypertension, heart arrhythmia, blood clots in the heart. All of these things is linked to low selenium as well. And one of the ways to get your selenium is Brazil nuts or seafood, right? So now, why do micronutrients matter? Why do they matter? Why am I even going into this right now, right? It's because they enable your metabolism, or the way that you use your food, right? So your metabolism is how your body uses the calories you intake from your food. So a low metabolism means that your body immediately stores the calories you intake as fat, as opposed to using them as energy. Right? A high metabolism are those people who have low body fat percentages, right? They're able to use it as energy. They're more energized, they're more happy, they're more optimal, right? Your micronutrients are also responsible for how you build and repair tissue. And that's all of your tissues, whether that's organ tissue, muscle tissue, skeletal tissue, brain tissue, skin tissue, right? All of these tissues are the healing and repair of them are linked to your micronutrients, right? Your micronutrients protect you against disease, right? They also protect and support your brain health, and they strengthen your bones. All things vital for you to have a happy and healthy life, right? So again, some examples of deficiency in certain vitamins. Vitamin C can lead to scurvy. Vitamin D can lead to rickets. Iron can lead to anemia, and iodine can lead to goiter or enlarged thyroid, right? So as I sum this up, family, and we recap, right? Some of the key takeaways is that your micronutrients are vitamins and minerals. Those are considered your micronutrients, right? Your micronutrients are vital for every system in your body, right? A deficiency causes disease, and you can get them naturally from a diverse and whole food diet, right? So some action steps, family. So you might be asking, well, how do I get this? How do I implement these things into my life? Real easy, family. So eat at least 5 colors of fruits and vegetables daily, right? Whether that be a green, red, orange, yellow, blue, however you got to do it, right? Eat at least 5 colors of fruits and vegetables daily, right? Choose whole grains over refined grains. Choose whole grains over refined grains. So cut out the white rice, get brown rice instead, right? Instead of going and getting um White potatoes, opt for a sweet potato. Eat more quinoa. Eat wild rice instead of white rice, right? You want to eat your grains with the bran. Bran is where the fiber is in your grains. Bran is what makes that grain brown, right? A rule of thumb for me when I'm eating and I'm trying to be really healthy is if it's white, it ain't right. If it's white, it ain't right, family. So make sure your grains are brown and colorful, right? Not that there's anything wrong with a white potato, but instead of a white potato, when you're trying to implement these things and get your colors in, instead of opting for a white potato, get you a sweet potato or get you a purple yam, right? Instead of white rice, get you some brown rice or get you some quinoa. I love quinoa as well, especially when it's uh prepared properly. It's delicious. Also, couscous. Couscous is one of my favorite grains and it's very healthy for you. Couscous is delicious, right? So there's always an alternative, right? Also include healthy fats to absorb fat-soluble vitamins, right? So fat is not bad for you. I know a lot of sisters specifically have this misconception that eating fats is bad for you. You need healthy fats. Fats, that macronutrient is responsible for your hormone regulation. And if you don't eat enough fats, you're not going to be able to absorb the fat-soluble vitamins that you need for you to live optimally. Right? And also use iodized salt, pink Himalayan salt, or Celtic salt. Regular in seasoning your food. Right? So now I'm gonna open it up to Q&A for a second. I'm gonna answer y'all's questions because I'm sure y'all got a lot of questions. I know a lot of people have been asking me for these kind of lessons the past few years. So I'm open. I'll take your questions. I give some free consults real quick. I'll give some free consultations real quick if y'all have questions. I pray this was edifying for you, fam. I hope I didn't bore you with, all the things. Y'all know I'm a nerd, so I hope I didn't bore you with all my nerdiness, but I pray this was edifying. And we're going to keep building on this because this has been my calling for a while now. So giving it to y'all now, it actually feels good. Give y'all this. Question is Planet Fitness a great place for beginners? Yes. Interesting thing about Planet Fitness, right? I had a job interview to be a general manager for Planet Fitness. One thing I like about Planet Fitness is that one, you get a lot of bang for your buck, especially now because it's not heavy, but they have transitioned a little into strength training, a strength training gym. So they have some free weights, like they have a chest press machine, they have a hack squat machine now. And if I'm not mistaken, what else did they implement? They have like a row, a free weight row, if I'm not mistaken. But I like Planet Fitness a lot. I love Planet Fitness. Biotin, how to take without breakout. Ooh, that's a good one. I do not have an answer for that one. I have to do some research on that for you, Abigail. I will have to do some research on why it would even be breaking you out. But that's a good question. I'll get back to you on that because it seems that Sister K has the same issue. So I will definitely look into that for y'all. Sister Justice asked, what type of workout should we sisters do to get abs? Very good question. Very good question. Sisters want to get slim, trim like a bicycle rim. I can dig it. So one, this is important to understand, Sister Justice. Abs are not made in the kitchen, but they are revealed in the kitchen. You get me? So you do want to train your abs. One thing that I like is planks because it's good for the overall core. It's good for the overall core is planks. Also, cable crunches. Cable crunches is good for building the abs. Also, an ab roller. I love a good ab roller. I ain't gonna lie, you're gonna be toe up after about probably for you if you're a beginner, you probably may only be able to get one or two, just depending on your core strength. But me, after doing about 3 or 4 sets of 12 to 15 reps, I'm cooked, and you're gonna be sore for about 3 or 4 days. So definitely for sisters, I recommend, I mean, it depends on how actually email me, Justice, because I know y'all sisters are sensitive about that kind of information, height and weight. Email me at shire144k@gmail.com. I'll give you a free consult. We'll get you right. I'll get your height, weight, BMI, all that good stuff, and then we'll go from there. I'll get you on a training plan. I'll get you on a nutritional plan as well. Kind of get you in the right range of calorie intake, because a lot of y'all don't be eating enough. That way you can start seeing some real results. So just email me, sis. Or you can inbox me on Instagram. You got me on IG as well. And just send me that information, and then I'll get you squared away. Sister Raya asked, what should you take for gut healing? That's one of my specialties, sis. I'm glad you asked that. So I have a couple of different supplements that I live and die by. So one is glutamine, right? So what does glutamine do? Glutamine repairs your gut cellular lining. So the cells that make up your gut lining, right? A lot of people have leaky gut, where you have damage to the gut lining within your stomach. And glutamine helps repair that. So glutamine, number one, definitely need glutamine. Secondly, collagen. Collagen is going to help repair the elasticity and strength of your gut lining as well, right? So what I like to do is I stack my glutamine. I also stack, I don't take collagen anymore, but you can get good natural collagen from bone broth, but definitely glutamine. Um, what else do I got in my little arsenal? Also, there's a supplement. Hold on. Let me type it in the chat real quick. Y'all bear with me 1 second. I'm gonna go get it real quick. Because I forgot the name, but it's in my cubby. I'll be right back. Y'all give me 1 second. Salaki, I'm back. Okay. All right, right, y'all. So look, it's a brand called Intelligence of Nature Gut Support, right? So what it is the ingredient is Salakia. It's humic extract from ancient soil. When I say when I say that this supplement has single-handedly, like, I felt the difference within a day. Intelligence of Nature Gut Support. Oh my God, yo. So we have a nutrition store called Nutrition World here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, right? And they have specialists in there. They have a gut specialist in there. And I had a conversation with them because I was trying to get some stuff to repair the gut, just get it squared away. But this supplement plus that L-glutamine, it's all you need. Also, collagen is really good too for your gut health. Also, fermented foods like kefir or kimchi or what's the drink? Forgive me, family. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. Having a brain fart. Somebody help me out. What's the drink that's good for your gut health? Somebody help me. Y'all figured out before me. It's fermented, technically good. Kombucha. Thank you, Abigail, and kombucha as well. So eating and drinking fermented foods also gonna be the most natural way uh, to reheal that gut, most definitely. But Intelligence of Nature gut support. Look that up on Amazon. Fire, fire, and L-glutamine. Definitely add L-glutamine to your daily regimen off the bat. Then you're gonna have a super strong gut, super strong. Hope that helps. Um, Sister Cece asks, "Do you have uh, any credible websites where we can find these supplements?" Yeah, you can find everything I got pretty much off Amazon. Also, another good site is let me go to my notes real quick. Um, Hold on, I got y'all. Give me 1 second. All right, so one website that I use is alkalineherbshop.com. Alkalineherbshop.com. I ain't the bar, no promises. Alkalineherbshop.com. I've been using them for the past 5 years. Everything's natural. Uh, herbsetc.com. That's probably one of my favorite websites. Favorite. I love their supplements. Herbs etc. Here, I'm gonna let me get on my phone real quick and I'm gonna type it in the chat real quick. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna type them in the chat for y'all real quick. All right, here we go. Actually, let me do this instead. Let me drop the link in the chat. 1 second. I'm gonna drop them in here for y'all. Give me 1 second, okay? Salakia. Yeah, these are all natural sites that I'm about to give you, sis. Give me 1 second. I'm posting them right now. And I got one more. Give me 1 second. And this last one I'm about to send is where I get my all natural frankincense and myrrh from Mountain Rose Herbs. But y'all can take those, copy those, uh, and save those to your notes. But I've been using these since 2020, since I first got into health and wellness and came in truth. That was kind of simultaneous. I've been using these websites here and a few others, but these are the ones I use for my to get my herbs from, for sure. Just go through those and let the journey begin. Abigail asked, oh, best intake for B12 steaks is steak. 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 Or you can do a tincture. Uh, Vitamin Shop has flavored tinctures that aren't bad. That are B complexes. Yeah, carne, my brother Carnal. Yeah, eat you some steaks. Is but anyways, if you don't want to do that though, like I said, Vitamin Shop, they have really good flavored tinctures. Their Vitamin Shop brand, really good tinctures. Also Amazon. I'll play around with Amazon. Order a couple, see if you like them. If you don't want to eat red meat, but red meat is the best way to get that vitamin B12 for sure. For sure. Any more questions? Yeah, I figured. Yeah, so try the tincture. What do you where you stay? What city and state? Because I know Vitamin Shop is pretty much globally. Nah, they don't have alcohol. They're not separated by alcohol, no. because if you have a vitamin shop near you, I used to manage a vitamin shop back in the day. I like vitamin shop. Or if you got like a Sprouts like they have out on the west side. I mean, yeah, out west. Or if you have a Whole Foods market, go to Whole Foods, see if they have some vitamin B12 tinctures. You can do that too. Any more questions? Yeah, I got you, Lee, for sure. Just hit me. Sister CC. That's in the works, actually. That's something I've been wanting to do for a while now. Start my own supplement line. Me and my wife been talking about it. She on that timing with me now. She wanna open up a gym. So that's all in Yahweh's plan, Lord willing. That's all in Yahweh's plan, Lord willing. Any more questions? Any other questions? Anything health related y'all got? Y'all had some good questions though. Y'all had some really good questions. All right, y'all bear with me 1 second, family. All right, family. I got one more question for Sister CC. Are the B12 shots good to take? It honestly depends, Sister CC. It honestly depends. I would recommend a B12, a B12 tincture. That's what I recommend. Or of course, just getting your red meat in. Uh, you know, I'm not really advocate for synthetic uh things like B12 shots. Um, but they're not bad. It just depends on like the brand and where you getting it from, sister. It all depends on that. It does. Send me a couple or tell us the card to send them to me. Uh, B12 shots you got, and I'll look into it for you. I'll look into it for you. See what you got. But yeah, I'll look into that for you, sister. Um, but all praise to the Most High. I thank all y'all for tapping in today. I pray y'all were edified. I'm gonna have Ratazan come on in the class for us tonight. So if y'all don't have any other questions, all praise to the Most High. Through a son of my Shah. We're gonna keep building on this and get a healthy nation. Shabbat Shalom.